Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Learn How to Do Something That You Don't Really Need to Learn and also probably won't ever use, but hey, at least this will kill the next 4 minutes of your life. Today we're going to be learning the weird and sometimes controversial science of wine tasting. Specifically, how sommeliers can take a big swig of bitter grape juice and tell you where it came from, how old it is, and just how embarrassed you should be for drinking it. Like any kind of superhuman skill, the power of deductive wine tasting is the result of being bitten by a very special kind of radioactive bug. In this case, that radioactive bug is called years of intensive studying. The highest level of sommelier, the master sommelier, has been achieved by fewer than 300 people in history. In order to reach that level, you have to pass this test, the Master Sommelier's Diploma exam, often considered to be one of the hardest exams in the world. Passing all 3 sections requires a working knowledge of every single wine tasting village on every single continent, including the types of grapes they grow, the nature of their climate, and the quality of their soil, plus an expertise in properly uncorking, serving, and pairing wines, plus an expertise in sipping and tasting wines, plus an expertise in storing wines, plus an expertise in all these other things that don't really matter to you because you're never going to do this. So, okay, sommeliers spend decades cramming their brain with wine facts and their kidneys with wine molecules. But even after all that training, sommeliers are still working with these same spongy meat sensors as the rest of us. How is it that they're tasting things that normal people can't? Well, it all comes down to a technique and a very particular system called the deductive tasting grid. You see, sommeliers don't taste wine like normal people do, chugging it over the sink while crying. Instead, they follow a careful, step-by-step process to gradually piece together information about the wine that they're drinking while they drink it. So pour yourself a glass and let's painfully oversimplify this incredibly complex system together. The first step of tasting wine is to not taste the wine. If you've already tasted your wine, just give up. You don't have what it takes to taste wine. The first section of the grid involves visual clues. Sommeliers tend to gain a lot of information about where and when a wine originated before it even touches their tongue. One of the first things they'll do is look at the wine against a white background or tilt it at a slight angle to be able to see its true color. Anthocyanin, the pigment that turns red wine red, tends to fade and turn orangish brown over time. The color can also provide some information about where the wine is from. Wines from warmer climates generally have more pigment and are more opaque, whereas wines from colder climates tend to be more translucent. So an intense brick-colored wine is probably older and from somewhere warm like southern Italy, whereas a pale turquoise-colored wine is probably a Mountain Dew Baja Blast from wherever they grow Mountain Dew Baja Blast. The next step in tasting wine is to give the wine a little swirl. Not only does this make you look fancy as hell, but it also acts as a little science experiment. Sommeliers pay a lot of attention to something called the Gibbs-Marangoni effect, which has to do with the way that liquids flow. After the wine has been swirled, they'll watch how it flows back down the glass. The more individual droplets, the higher the alcohol content, and the slower the droplets move, the higher the sugar content. So we've looked at the wine, we've swirled the wine, are we ready to taste the wine? No, of course not. We're wine tasting here, not tasting wine. The next step is to smell the wine. First right up against your nose to smell the intensity, and then a few inches from your nose to detect the subtler flavors. These can tell a sommelier some very specific information about a wine. Flavors like coconut or dill indicate that it was aged in an American oak barrel, vanilla and nutmeg suggest aging in a European oak barrel, mushroom tends to be detected in wines grown in Champagne or Burgundy, and a subtler corn syrup flavor often indicates that you've cracked a bottle of Mountain Dew Baja Blast again. These sorts of clues, paired with the visual clues from earlier, can usually narrow the wine down to a pretty small range of potential ages and regions. Now, at long last, it's time to put the wine where the wine is meant to go, your wine hole. When sommeliers take a sip of wine, they make sure to slurp, inhale extra oxygen, and swish the wine around in their mouth. This helps activate a process called retronasal olfaction, which is French for smelling with the secret second nose that's located inside your mouth. Sommeliers use this to catch any flavors they might have missed when they smelled the wine with their less secret outside nose. Tasting the wine also gives more evidence about things like sugar content, alcohol content, acidity, and texture. You know, things that you taste when you taste things. With all of this data, sommeliers now make an initial conclusion about the wine, where they'll recall other wines with similar qualities and list things like possible grape varieties, the general climate they were grown in, and the wine's approximate age. Then, after sitting in their wine chair and thinking about all the wine facts they learned in wine school, they make a final conclusion, attempting to deduce the exact grape, the region, the quality, and the year it was produced. And voila! After years of studying, expensive test-taking, and an incredibly complex tasting system, you finally know everything there is to know about your wine. You could also just read the label, I guess, but who has time for that? Now, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I've been traveling a lot lately for a super exciting upcoming project, and all of those plans would have been an absolute nightmare without our sponsor, Audible. I never travel without using Audible. Their massive growing library of audiobooks from across every genre, which you can download right onto your phone, make long plane rides an absolute breeze. And when I'm not traveling, it's great to be able to continue my book anywhere, on my commute, while doing the dishes, or in bed while I fall asleep. Plus, as a member, if their free streaming library doesn't include a book I want, I can choose any book on the platform to keep forever for free every single month. Plus, hey, if audiobooks aren't your thing, Audible has thousands of amazing podcasts like Donor 9623 and Deepest Dive, streamable wherever, whenever. Best of all, HI viewers get to try Audible Premium Plus for free for 30 days, which includes unlimited access to their Plus catalog and a credit to get any audiobook, which you can keep forever. Just click the button on screen, text HI to 500-500, or head to audible.com/HI to sign up for free, and you'll be helping support HI while you're at it.